The arrest of Cho Ayaba in Norway, a turning point for Ambazonia's struggle. September 24, that was yesterday, marked a significant day in the Ambazonian liberation movement, one that we echo across the ranks of freedom fighters and the diaspora alike. In Oslo, Norway, Ambazonian activist Cho Ayaba was arrested by the Norwegian police. Today, September the 25th, he was arraigned before a court in Oslo, where he faced charges ranging from incitement of crimes, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. The prosecutor, with the weight of international law behind him, underscored Norway's responsibility to ensure its soil is not a sanctuary for individuals engaged in atrocities. As Kripos takes the lead in these investigations, one thing is crystal clear. Cho Ayaba's actions have crossed a line that no leader fighting for freedom should ever cross. The arrest of Cho Ayaba is more than just a legal matter. It is a clarion call for reflection, strategy, and a rededication to the true cause of the Ambazonian freedom cause. For too long, and under the guise of leadership, he perpetrated acts that violate the very principles we set out to defend. His violent advocacy has long been condemned and characterized by kidnappings, ransom demands, public executions, vandalism, and torture against civilians, the very people he claimed to be fighting for. This arrest exposes what many of us have feared. Cho Ayaba was no longer fighting for Ambazonian independence, but was waging war against the innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. Ayaba's actions betrayed the core values of the Ambazonian War of Liberation. We set out to liberate, to free our people from the suffocating grip of La République du Cameroon. But his terror only added to their suffering. Instead of lifting the yoke of oppression, he replaced it with fear and brutality. His arrest is a vindication of what we have long condemned many years ago, that Ambazonia's fight for freedom cannot and will not be won through the exploitation, the suffering, and bloodshed of our own people. As news of this arrest spreads, La République du Cameroon may be rejoicing in its beer parlors today, thinking that this is a victory for them. But they could not be more wrong. The arrest of Mr. Ayaba is not a loss for Ambazonia. It is the removal of a major obstacle, a stumbling block that has held us back from the full force of our just cause. While La République du Cameroon may sip their beers and smile, they forget one essential truth: we are unbeatable. This is a moment for all Ambazonian leaders to pause and take heed. We set out to free our people, not to exploit them. We set out to liberate, not to burden. Ayaba's arrest should serve as a stark reminder that our struggle is not about personal gain, power, or grandstanding. It is about the people, our civilians, our families, and our future. Every Ambazonian leader, whether in the diaspora or on the ground, must take this moment to reflect deeply. The lesson is clear. while we do everything in our power to free ourselves, we must never forget that the fight is to save our people. We cannot afford to become what we despise. We cannot allow our struggle for freedom to be hijacked by those who would exploit it for personal gain or glory. The kidnapping of civilians for ransom, the criminal taxation of the very people we swore to protect, and grandstanding projects like changing taxi colors, which do nothing, zero, to advance our cause, must be condemned in the strongest possible terms. These actions do not move us forward in our war of liberation. In fact, they have held us back. We must unite in saying never again. Never again should our civilians be abducted for ransom. Never again should they be taxed and harassed by those who claim to fight for their freedom. And never again should we allow our struggle, our liberation war, to be co-opted by rogue elements who have lost sight of our noble cause. Now that a major saboteur is out of the way, it is time for all Ambazonian leaders to come together. If necessary, we must assemble physically. There is no room for half measures. We must redefine the ethical execution of this war and form a united front, speaking with one voice. Only by doing so can we advance our cause to a logical and successful end. The division, the infighting and egos must be set aside. The people of Ambazonia deserve leaders who are as dedicated to their freedom as they are to their well-being. Our crusade is not just about defeating La République du Cameroon. It is about winning the hearts and minds of our people on the ground. Now is a time for leadership that is ethical, principled, and unwavering in its commitment to the liberation of Ambazonia. We have the opportunity to correct course and recommit to the values that brought us to this fight in the first place. To the brave Ambazonia restoration fighters on the ground, I ask you, desist from harassing your own people, civilians. You are the vanguard of our struggle, the ones who will ultimately bring about our freedom. But you must always remember that the people you are fighting to liberate are your brothers. They are your sisters, your mothers, and your fathers. They are not your enemies. They are the very reason you have taken up arms, and their protection and safety must be your highest priority. Be very careful of the kinds of instructions you receive from individuals in the diaspora. Some of them have lost their way. They no longer fight for freedom. They fight for power. They fight for control and for personal gain. Before this arrest, many ADF fighters lost their lives because they followed orders that led them down the path of crimes against humanity. Do not make the same mistake. Remember that you are fighting to liberate, not to dominate. Your integrity and honor are at stake, and these qualities will be judged not just by your fellow fighters, but by the civilian population you are striving to free. To maintain that honor, you must reject any orders or actions that harm civilians. Our people are suffering enough under the yoke of La République du Cameroon. They should not have who claim to be their protectors. Stay true to the cause, but stay true to the people as well. You cannot liberate a people by terrorizing them. You cannot win their trust by exploiting them. So, stand firm, but stand justly. Why Ayaba's arrest is a moment of reckoning. It is also a moment of opportunity. The road ahead is not easy, but it never has been. From the beginning, we knew this fight would demand sacrifice, courage, and unwavering commitment. And we have shown time and again that we possess those qualities in abundance in Amazonia. The enemy is watching, waiting for us to falter, but they will wait in vain. Amazonia is unbeatable, and our struggle is just. We will not be derailed by rogue elements or misguided leaders. We will press on with courage and conviction until our people are free. Let this be a moment of renewal, of rededication to the cause. We will win this war not just for ourselves, but for every Amazonian who dreams of a better future. As we move forward, it is imperative that the rest of us not be viewed merely as isolated. This should not be viewed as an isolated event, but as a turning point for the entire Amazonian revolution. We must understand the gravity of this moment and use it to reflect on the broader implications for our fight. Ayaba's removal from the scene has cleared a major obstacle. But now, the onus is on all Amazonian leaders to rise above the fractures and divisions that have weakened our cause. We cannot afford to let infighting, personal ambition, or rogue behavior undermine the greater mission. The time for scattered efforts and uncoordinated actions must end at this moment. Our leadership, especially those in the diaspora, must seize on this opportunity to realign the movement's priorities and strategies. We have come too far, ladies and gentlemen, to allow disunity to derail our progress. The diaspora has always been a critical part of our cause, providing resources, advocacy, and visibility on the global stage. This moment demands a comprehensive and a united response from all corners of the Amazonian leadership. The formation of a united front must now be a top priority, and I call on all factions to set aside their differences and come together in a show of solidarity. We cannot afford the luxury of division any longer. Every leader, including myself, every fighter, and every civilian has a role to play in ensuring that this liberation war moves forward in a coordinated, ethical, and effective manner. At the heart of this movement is the simple, unshakable truth that we are fighting for the freedom and dignity of our people. That truth must remain our guiding star. Now, more than ever, we cannot allow criminal actions, whether they come from rogue fighters on the ground or irresponsible leaders in the diaspora, to tarnish the legitimacy of our cause. Every form of kidnapping, every ransom demand, every act of brutality against civilians pulls us further away from the moral high ground that has always been our greatest strength. The arrest of Ayaba presents an opportunity not just to recalibrate our leadership, but also to reconnect with the people of Amazonia, the very people whose support and trust are essential to the success of our movement. For too long, the actions of certain rogue elements within our ranks have strained the relationship between the fighters and the civilian population. It is time to repair that damage and rebuild the trust that is so crucial to the sustainability of our fight for independence and freedom. The people of Amazonia have endured unimaginable hardships in the course of this conflict. They have faced displacement, violence, economic deprivation, and the constant threat of persecution from La République du Cameroon's forces. It is unacceptable for them to also face harassment, exploitation, or violence from those who claim to fight in their name. We must reach out to our civilians, to ground zero, not just with words, but with actions that demonstrate our commitment to their safety and their well-being. This means putting an end to criminal taxation, ransom takings, and all forms of exploitation. We must empower our people on the ground, not oppress them. Every Amazonian fighter must understand that the success of our revolution, our struggle, our fight depends not only on defeating La République du Cameroon, but on winning the hearts and minds of the people too. To the rogue fighters who have allowed themselves to be influenced by corrupt leaders and self-serving elements in the diaspora, this is your final warning. The arrest of Ayaba is a sign that justice is coming for those who betray this cause. It is time to change course before it is too late. You must ask yourselves, are you fighting for Amazonia's freedom, or are you fighting for personal gain? The answer will determine not just the future of our struggle, our movement, our country, but your own fate. There is no room in this fight for individuals who exploit the civilian population, engage in criminal activities, or tarnish the name of Amazonia with acts of violence against innocent people. Those who continue down this path will face the full force of justice, both from within our movement and from the international community as we see it in this case. If you are truly committed to the liberation of Amazonia, then now is the time to prove it. Lay down your arms against the civilians. Refuse to carry out any orders that involve harming the people you are meant to protect. Focus on the real enemy, and that enemy are the forces of La République du Cameroon that continue to oppress, kill, and exploit our people. Stay disciplined, stay focused, and stay true to the cause. To our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, you have a critical role to play in this liberation war. Your resources, your advocacy, and your voice on the international stage have been indispensable to the progress we have made so far. But with that power comes responsibility. It is time to reflect on the kind of leadership we are providing from the diaspora, from abroad. Are we helping to guide this struggle to victory, Or are we sowing division and chaos with reckless decisions and harmful orders? The arrest of Cho Ayaba is a wake-up call. It is a reminder that we must be accountable for our actions, even from thousands of miles away. The diaspora must act as a source of strength and support for the fighters and civilians on the ground, not as a source of division or harm. We must hold ourselves to the highest standards of ethical leadership, and we must ensure that every decision we make is in the best interest of the people of Amazonia, especially those on the ground. The time for selfish ambition and personal gain is over. Now is the time for unity, for discipline, and for responsibility. As we move forward, let it be known to all, Amazonia is unstoppable. We are a people united by a common purpose and a shared dream of freedom. No arrest, no betrayal, no act of violence can derail us from this path. We will fight on with courage, with discipline, and with an unwavering belief in the justice of our cause. Let the world hear us. Let the people of Amazonia see us standing together, stronger than ever, committed to the liberation of our land and the freedom of our people. We are unbeatable, and we will not rest, ladies and gentlemen, until Amazonia is free. This is our time. This is our fight, and we will win. Again, we will win.